Hello, this is a video for my Forms of Literature class. This one might be a little bit long, but I think it's full of good information. Let's scroll down through our modules. And we are finishing this literary analysis essay assignment. And really, I want to get this done with and turned in. So I sent some of you who have not turned it in a message on what you can do to finish that. If you do that, you'll get a good grade. I'm not saying it's going to be 100, but it'll be a good grade. Those of you that did turn it in, I pretty much just gave you 100 because we need to move on. All right. So those of you that still have to do it, turn it in here for the literary analysis essay. Okay. For the final draft. Now, I'm going to scroll down to our next thing that we have to do. And it is the literary period paper. And this is our signature assignment. This is the biggest assignment of the year. And we absolutely have to have it done. But I've done everything I can to try to make it a little bit easier for you. Now, the literary period that we're going to be talking about is Romanticism. And that was a literary period that was about from the very, very late 1700s all the way through the late 1800s. And if you want to understand that better, you can click here on this Romanticism video. It should open for you. And if you get something like this, just go up here and click on the top, and you'll see the video there.
Let me
The
give you some
history of
advice.
ideas and Romanticism. This is
The
just an
process of
advertisement you have
doing
to sit through.
second-
Then you can skip the ads, and here is the video on Romanticism. Okay, so I'm not going to show it to you through this, but you can look at it like that. Okay, and that'll give you an idea of what Romanticism is, because that is going to be what our paper's about. Let's look at the assignment here. It says you're going to write a literary period paper. And normally we would read a whole bunch of poems and you would choose, but we're running out of time and we're not able to do that. So I just picked two pretty understandable poems, one by William Wordsworth and one by John Keats. And you're going to write about these two poems. And you're going to follow this background. You're going to give me a history and culture of the period. Describe the origins and causes of the literary period. That'll all be in section 1. Section 2, what were the things that were valued in that period? What did people think was important? And then you're going to pick two works, which are the two poems that I've given you. And you're going to explain how those two poems belong to this period, which is Romanticism. Now, Romanticism is the name of the historical area, but we don't call it the Romanticism period because then you'd have two nouns. You say the Romantic period. And romantic here doesn't have anything to do with Valentine's Day or anything like that. Okay? Now, as far as the databases and stuff, you can certainly use those, but I've gone ahead and put some up there. You should have 900 to 1100 words. You should follow MLA style. And your rough draft is due on the 23rd, and your final draft is due on the 29th. Scrolling back down again to our period. So that's the assignment. Dang it. Sorry, guys. All right. Here we are again. So You're going to get sick. You're going to get motion sickness from watching me try to do this. All right, back here, literary period paper. So this is the video that you can watch to get a background of it, but you really won't use that in your paper. Here's the assignment, and here is the first poem. Now notice it is a link, and when you go there, you can see the poem. And this poem is about a guy who finds a knight who is dying, like a knight like King Arthur knight, who is dying on the side of a lake. And he's dying there because he has met a beautiful woman and he is under her spell. And Romanticism liked plenty of imagination. And that poem is discussed in this article here, and you can use this article as part of your paper. You need to read it. And it is by this author, John Keats. And that article there will give you a couple of some facts about his life that you can use in the third section of your paper. The same thing here with The World is Too Much With Us by William Wordsworth. It's only 14 lines. It is a sonnet. And basically he says we're too worried about money and our schedules and our jobs that we don't notice the beauty of nature all around us. And I think that's true even today. And again, here's an article about this. And here's an article about the author. Now, I've given you two articles about the Romantic period that you can use for sections 1 and 2 of your paper. You're going to have to read those on your own. And when I talk about sections 1 and 2, look at this rough outline. So your thesis is going to be The World is Too Much With Us by William Wordsworth and La Belle Dame Sans Mercy, The Beautiful Woman Without Mercy, by John Keats, are representative works of the Romantic period because blank and blank, okay? So you're going to make some observation of your own based on what you've read, and then your last sentence of your introduction is going to be this. And then you're going to have section 1, which should be 2 to 4 paragraphs. And you can use those articles on Romanticism that I gave you and put those citations in there. And I'm going to show you about citations in just a minute. Section 2, the summary of the period values and characteristics, 2 to 4 paragraphs. And section 3, about the 2 works of literature. And this is where you'd have a fact or 2 about John Keats and his life, and William Wordsworth and his life, and you would talk about both poems, all right? So I would have at least 2 paragraphs about one poem and 2 about the other. Altogether, you're going to probably have, from all your sources, you're going to have at least 6 quotes. 2 quotes from the poems, 1 quote each from the poem. You're going to have 2 quotes, 1 quote each from the Romanticism articles, and you're going to have 1 quote each from the 2 overviews. So you're going to have a total of 6, okay? 2 quotes about the poems, 2 about the author's life, 2 about Romanticism, and then the rest you can just summarize, but you still have to quote your sources, even if it's just at the end of the paragraph. This here tells you, gives you just the basics of how your paper should be organized and how your heading should look and how you should do this. If you read through this, it tells you how to make your paper. So please spend some time on that, okay? I wish it would just go back to where I left off, but it doesn't. Here's how you're going to do your citations for your literary period paper. For the one that says Glencoe Romanticism article, this is going to be what you're going to put in your works cited, just this part here. And when you do the poems, like you're going to have a poem by William Wordsworth and one from John Keats, you're going to do it just like this. Okay, this is this guy's last name, so you would say Wordsworth, comma, William, and then the name of the poem. And we're using Poetry Foundation as our base, so that's the title of the web page. This is the day, the month, and the year that you accessed it, and then copy the URL down here. If you use the two Romanticism articles, they don't have authors, so you're going to, in your parenthetical citation, which is this part right here, you are going to use the first word of the title in quotation marks and the page number, and you're going to put a period here. If you don't have a page number, don't worry about it. Just use the first important word of the title. If you use the title in your sentence, you would just have the page number. When you do quotes from a poem, you're going to put a space here and a space here and a slash so that you know that the line starts new. If you do more than 4 lines, you're going to indent the lines 4 or more. Now, this isn't everything you need to know about citations, but it's a lot. On the Works Cited page, what you will do on any of these articles I've given you, like say we look at the John Keats article. If you look down at the bottom of that article, it's going to tell you the MLA citation. And you need to look at that, copy it, and then when you're going to put it in your paper, like I'm going to go to OneDrive here. I'm not going to do the whole paper, but when you're ready to put it in your paper on your last page, which is your works cited page, and is at the last page in your paper. Okay. And I'm going to try to paste this here, and it never wants to let me. So I have to sit Control V or Control Shift V. Okay. Okay. Now, what I would do here is I am going to highlight it, and I'm going to make it Times New Roman number 12. Okay. Then I'm going to go over here to is it here? Nope. Nope. Give me just a second. Line spacing. And 2. Okay. And then I'm going to go back to line spacing. I'm going to go to line spacing options. And I'm going to make sure it says 0, double, and then hanging, okay? And it's going to look like that. Now, I need to make sure that my containers of information, which are the names of the databases, like Discovering Authors and Gale Context and Context High School, I need to make sure that those are in italics, okay? But that's what your works cited, your citation is going to look like. And then if you use this, since there's no author, just use the word John in quotation marks with parentheses around it. Always put the period after the parentheses. I'm going to try something here. And it's going to tell me to do this again. I'm going to try, see what happens if I just do Control V. No, that's no good. So I'm going to get rid of that. Okay? All right, so that's how you're going to make your works cited page. I'm sorry I'm not a professional video maker. I just got Snapchat like a year ago. All right. So going back to our module, but that's how you're going to do your citations. And I tried to make sure that all of your papers have the MLA citation at the bottom, except for the one that I made a PDF of out of my literature book. And then that one I tell you how to make the citation in your the citations for the literary period paper. Your rough draft is going to be due, don't mind me doing this. I don't want you to see that part because that'll just confuse you. Your rough draft is going to be due on the 23rd, and your final draft is going to be due on the 29th. So I'm going to put this video right up above this video. We are going to continue to have Zoom meetings on Mondays and Wednesdays at 7 o'clock, since that was our class time. I hope you all can join us. It's a good time to ask questions. The last couple ones I kind of sat there for a half hour with no one in it, just staying there. And so if people aren't going to be there, I'm not going to stay there the whole hour if people don't sign in by like 7:20 or something. All right, but I hope this video helps you. It seems like a lot, but actually I have taken out a lot of steps and tried to make it very easy. Everyone's going to do it on these 2 poems. Everyone's going to do it on these 2 authors. Everyone's going to use the articles I've given you here. You don't have to do any kind of research. So we're all doing the same thing, and so that we don't have problems, dealing with databases and all of that. So everything you need is there. When you do the literary period, when you turn it in, you will notice there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. You don't really need to look at that. It kind of says the same thing, but it's a little more complicated. And then here is, further down, here is the rubric we're going to use. So don't pay attention to the rubric that's in this box. We're going to use the rubric with the 13 criteria. Okay. And so there's a lot here. I want you to look at it. And that is what we have to grade the paper by, and the school wants you to get this done. So even though it says signature assignment sheet here, you can read it if you want to, but it's the same thing as what I have. Well, basically the same thing as what I have here, but this is a lot easier. You don't want to get confused. Okay. As a matter of fact, I might take that out. We'll see. All right. So, if you have any questions, please message me on Canvas. Some of you have gone silent, radio silent, since this whole thing began. I need to hear from you. I want to know how you're doing. I might even have to end up calling some of you if I can't get a hold of you any other way. So check your messages from me, and please watch this video all the way through. All right? I hope you all are well, and take care of yourselves.